Man beobachtet alle andere und weiß, dass alle andere auch dich und alle andere
You keep all the others under observation and know that all the others are watching you and each other. That is normal. Anybody can get out of line. Those are the people who least want to know themselves. That means that other people bring it to your attention with a knowledge report that you have made a mistake. That means you have to look up that mistake, face on and handle it somehow, in some way. And then show the group that you have made up for it.
Und dann zeigen, die Gruppe zeigen, dass du wieder gut drauf bist. Ne?
Those are the knowledge reports with which one shows his true loyalty. Everybody watches everybody else, everybody betrays everybody else and puts this down on paper. Here Susanne turns in another work group to their superiors. The smallest necessity in the RPF camp must be asked for in writing. Susanne requested, I have only one work suit and no cap. Without a complete uniform, I am breaking the regulations, and I have to wash my clothes urgently. Request denied. Instructions? Wash your work cloth at night and hang them in the boiler room so that they will be dry in the morning. The European headquarters of Scientology in Copenhagen. Thousands of adherents stream year after year into this building in order to get closer to immortality by taking courses. We wanted to check out Susanne's statements. Together with her, we met there with the press spokeswoman of Scientology in Europe. She said she was ready to give information about the rehabilitation camp system. For her, it was a unique chance to ethically get back into shape.
Well, there is a program that is allowed for a person who made some serious blunder in the church. It's a person is offered the possibility, what it is, contrary to what she's saying, I'm sure, is when a person makes a serious mistake, she's given, normally in any other area, she would be kicked out or fired from a group for the mistake they made. We offer the possibility to the person to do the rehabilitation project course, where the person learns how to learns what he did exactly that was wrong. He is given some technology where he can avoid making the same mistake again, and he works 5 hours a day. He studies 5 hours a day, and then he works in doing different projects. No, I don't hate these people. I don't hate these people.
What are your feelings?
My feeling doesn't matter on this thing. As I said earlier, they yap, and that's all. It's like just annoying, and it's just annoying because they do not say the truth of what Scientology is. They're upset about whatever. Okay, when you're upset, you might say things that are a bit overboard, but it does not matter really to us because we will be continuing to be there, and no matter what they say and what they yap, there are thousands of people coming in and wanting to know what Scientology is, and life goes on. It carries on.
Their lives go on. Not only tomorrow and the next day, but for billions of years. The Sea Org members sign a work contract accordingly. Therefore, I contract myself to the Sea Organization for the next billion years. And that's for $130 a month, as former members tell us. An elite organization for eternity. The only question is, whose?
I'm a Sea Org member, and I have my uniform.
You're proud to be a Sea Org member?
Definitely.
And why?
Because the purpose of it, what I do, what I accomplish, the good I do the whole week is very worthwhile, is very rewarding.
They are surely unbeatable when it comes to one thing in particular. Delusions of grandeur and fondness for theatrical drama and fine-tuned propaganda. In the center of the power rush is the current leader, David Miscavige. Since 1986, he has been the successor of L. Ron Hubbard.
There will be no more nothing, because on October the 1st, 1993, at 8:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the IRS issued letters recognizing Scientology and every one of its organizations as fully tax exempt. The war is over!
He's actually quite a short person himself, and he's very paranoid because, I believe, of what he does, that he feels that someone's going to hurt him, so he has to hurt them first.
Welcome to church.
100 miles east of Los Angeles, 2 hours drive away. Below us is Gilman Hot Springs, the secret world headquarters of Scientology. This is where David Miscavige pulls the strings of his power. The site resembles a vacation resort, grand houses, the golf course right next to them, everything including the California sun. There is room for over 1,000 people here, his private army. Only a few Scientologists know of this spot and its meaning. One of them, Jesse Prince, the former representative of David Miscavige, tells us what the picturesque setting conceals.
That means the location there is the real world headquarters of Scientology.
Yes.
And David Miscavige is living there also?
Yes.
How would you describe his living condition?
Very elaborate, very lavish, that I've seen, you know, and you see that some of the buildings that they have are actually quite nice. They look quite nice. Some of the properties are quite nice. Very luxurious, as a matter of fact, is a good word. Reason being is they have zero cost for labor. It's simply material costs, because they have their slave camp, they have their slave laborers that work night and day, and then even when the slave laborers can't keep up with it, there's a day, Saturday, where every person at Gilman Hot Springs, no matter what position you're in, goes and does the labor just like the slaves does all day doing renovations. So in that wise, you know, if you have no labor costs and just materials, you can accomplish quite a bit.
Pure luxury made possible by the RPF. Zero labor costs and $300,000 in donations for a private music studio, wardroom and fitness center. All for the comfort of David Miscavige.
You know, if he decides that something needs to look a certain way, well, then that's how it looks. If he decides that things need to be done in a certain way, then that's how they are done. It is by his will, because he's the boss.
The magnificent villa behind the wrought iron fans, a lifestyle which includes a swimming pool, guest house, tennis courts and private movie theater. Luxury in a high security area.
The security there is quite phenomenal. They have the fences where they have ground sensors, where even if you walk near the fence, they know it. Lights start coming on in the complex. They have night vision cameras, night vision scopes. And they had a location, you notice there's a mountain behind there, a little hill. They had an area up there called Eagle, where someone is constantly watching over the property all the time, a security guard, and they rotated his video and everything. I know these things because I helped set up the security there. Ooh, you're talking about reaping what you sow.
But there's no way out.
No. And then they have these nice-looking fences where you can hardly see, but if you touch it, it cuts your hand. You bleed like crazy. It's like razor sharp on the top, so that if you try to come over. The international management of Scientology, that is the area, CSI, Church of Scientology International, which operates and micromanages all of its other corporations, such as Flag Service Organization here in Clearwater, where we are, is micromanaged from the CSI Corporation at Gilman Hot Springs. The facility that they have in Los Angeles is micromanaged by the facility in Gilman. The facility that they have in Europe is micromanaged by the facility that they have in Gilman Hot Springs. In other words, any area that produces a sufficient amount of income is micromanaged from the Gilman Hot Springs location.
Good night.
I was put in RPF. It was in Happy Valley, just down the road from Gilman Hot Springs, their Golden Arrow location, on an Indian reservation. Yeah, you pass through the suburban Indian reservation.
Who assigned you to the RPF?
David Miscavige.
David Miscavige. That gold?
Yes.
For what reason?
Because I wouldn't go along with his plan to get rid of Pat Nanny Broker, and I refused to do it. I refused to be a part of it. I refused to have anything to do with it. So he said, okay, I'm going to have to get you too. They woke me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, they loved this element of surprise. And by the time I had come to the room, they had already gotten Vicky Azaran, who was supposed to be, quote unquote, the #1 person in all of Scientology. And she was sitting in the corner crying and shaking miserably because they, you know, all of these men had screamed at her, pushed her around, and she was very afraid. And then I came in the room and he says, well, it's over now. You had a chance, you made the wrong choice, and you're going to the RPF. And he told me, you call me sir. I'll never forget it. And I looked at him, I was sitting across the desk. He said, say it, say it, say it. And I got up and I said, fuck you. And I walked out of the room, at which point people tried to grab me. But I had karate training, and I knocked them together, and they backed off, at which point I ran to my room and got a rifle, a semi-automatic rifle that I had gotten from L. Ron Hubbard, because everyone had rifles, semi-automatic, fully automatic rifles, and a .45, and I came back and I said, what do you want to do now? Now David totally changed his character. He says, Jesse, you know, we've been through so much. You know, please let's not do this. Come on, put the guns away. Yeah. Put the guns away. He didn't take my guns. I put them back, and then I came out and we talked, and he said to me at that point, he says, look, I really need you to do this. You know, please just take this fall because, you know, you're in a high position in the church. All of the staff see this going on. I need you to do this just so Scientology itself doesn't fall apart. And if you do this, then I will come and take you and put you back in a position. And, you know, I didn't really care about that. And at the time, I didn't think that it would be a good idea for all of Scientology to fall apart because I'm still not straight in my head yet. So I conceded.
Happy Valley, Rehabilitation Center for Recuperation of Inner Peace, lies hidden among the mountains, only 20 minutes away from the center of power. Officially, the area is called Castile Canyon School. Over 100 people live here, including Wiebke H., who is said to have been in the camp since 1995.
Just like in a prison, someone come in, time to get up, security guard, 10 minutes, wash, dress, and then you're outside standing in the, you know, freezing early morning in California, shaking. They do a roll call. They count you just like they do in jail. They count how many people are there, make sure no one is missing. And then you're told what you're going to do for that day. You eat a meal for 20 minutes, and then you're working.
In the near vicinity of the company's private golf course and the football field in Gilman Hot Springs is another attraction in the Scientology program, a circular spot. In the middle is a palm tree. That's not meant for harmless games. That spot is for running. Today clockwise and tomorrow counterclockwise around. The newest addition is said to be a water sprinkling system for overheated souls.
He put a big maypole in the Gilman Hot Spring location, and people had to run around it all day. And it was a punishment for people who he thought had suddenly become PDH. And you do it from the moment you wake up until you go to sleep. You just run around the pole day and night for weeks on end.
12 hours a day.
Around that pole?
Yeah. Until you realized that you had been faulty in your thinking and were ready to think straight again and be a proper Scientologist.
Is that how it worked for Wiebke H.? Did she also spend days on this spot? Wiebke H., the successful manager, what became of her? Letters to her brother. She wrote the last one June 1998. Her brother showed them to us as a sign that she was still alive. She said things were going splendidly with her and she was having a lot of fun. The lines she wrote give the impression that everything is okay. Supposedly nothing is happening with his older sister, which he needs to be concerned about. Where is she exactly, and is she doing well?
Einerseits,
on the one side, I know that she has done this voluntarily and on her own. On the other side, of course, it is clear to me that her thought is being manipulated. What is the extent of freedom? Where is the part where I can say with certainty that she wants things that way? I have to leave that up to her if I accept her as an equal. On the other hand, one asks, if she is manipulated, what happened when she spent 3 years in this rehabilitation center? Are the trouble and the effort which she has taken upon herself worthwhile? What happens when a monk goes into a cloister and talks with nobody for 3 months? If one goes to a hermitage, what happens then? Must we permit that? Is it only unpleasant because she's my sister and it happened to us in the middle of Hamburg?
Was ist das? Müssen wir das zulassen? Ist es nur unangenehm, weil es meine Schwester ist und uns das hier mitten in Hamburg passiert?
It's difficult for me.
Schwierig für mich.